Both of them have not had run-ins in the past. We spoke to the father as well. We spoke to Prabhakar as well, and he's clearly stated that there has been no sort of history between the two families, and they hardly used to talk with each other. Yes, they are blood relatives, that is agreed, but they never used to talk with each other, and there has been no sort of vendetta or motive for revenge here, and it is definitely not a property dispute as to how the police are projecting. There was no prior motive as well, but what exactly happened was on the 8th of Feb, when the altercation took place, that was one of the main agenda. The motive was that there was a verbal altercation, and this accused number one was insulted and asked, and he was questioned, and he was insulted. He felt insulted, and he stated that I am a DMK ward councillor. You are questioning my authority. I will show you what my power is. And then he brings his sons, he brings his gangs of goons at in the afternoon, and then he goes on to attack. Now people over here also saying the same, that all was well between these families, but they hardly conversed, and there was no sort of interaction between the two families, but they also stayed away from each other, and all was well, and there was no prior run-ins too. So this clearly shows, this goes on and clearly shows that the police is trying to say otherwise and project it in a completely different direction to mislead the investigation, or they are at pressure from the DMK government. And incidentally, the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu is also the Home Minister of the state. So the entire Home Department, the law and order is also under his control too. So they are hiding behind technicalities of legal technicalities, and they are trying to find loopholes there. But will the evidence, how will the evidence be collected now, and what is the evidence that they have already collected? That needs to be seen, which is of high priority now in this particular case.
All right, stay with us, Prajwal. Let's also go across to Aneri, who's also joining us from Chennai on this. Now, Aneri, the DMK so far, as well as the Chief Minister, has refused to make a statement on it. And as Prajwal was pointing out, he is the Home Minister, and hence law and order obviously is something that he looks after as well. But no comment coming in from him yet.
Well, that's right, Nupur. We have been seeing how there has been a massive face-off which has been going on here in Chennai, where we are seeing how the DMK government still continues to be silent. But yes, when we happen to confront the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin, no word from him, complete silence. And also at the same time, the DMK leader and the former MP Elagovan had also put up such a bizarre statement where he had said that the Jawan was not killed in a war. He died due to a family issue, is what Elagovan had to say. But then a Jawan is a Jawan, Nupur, and that is why we are seeing that how there has been a massive anger. Well, now what we are also learning is that the BJP state president Annamalai will also be holding a one-day hunger strike, and as a mark of protest. Well, BJP continues to state that they will continue to fight for justice for the family members. And also at the same time, we are seeing that how there is a complete silence, not a single statement coming in from the Congress party. Well, not to forget, Nupur, Congress is an ally here with the DMK, but then complete silence from the Congress party here, and not a single statement coming in. So definitely how there has been a silence from one side of but then opposition parties here say that they will continue to stage protests, and they will continue to fight for justice for the late Lance Nayak, Prabhu. Nupur.
All right, so Aneri as well as Prajwal are bringing us the latest in terms of what's happening in this particular case. We are now learning that even as the police investigates, there appear to be certain loopholes in the investigation. Thank you, both of you, for joining us. And here's a look at what else is making news this morning. A vigilance team arrested Aam Admi Party MLA Amit Ratan's personal assistant Rashim Garg from the Bhatinda Circuit House in Punjab for allegedly taking a bribe of 4 lakh rupees from a sarpanch. Now, according to officials, the sarpanch's husband accused the MLA's PA of demanding a bribe of 5 lakh by taking the name of Amit Ratan, after which the complainant reached the Circuit House with the vigilance team. The fourth edition of the India-Japan Joint Exercise Dharma Guardian will be held at Camp Imazu in Shiga province of Japan from the 17th of February to the 2nd of March. The Defence Ministry in a release said that the exercise Dharma Guardian will further enhance the level of defence cooperation between the Indian Army and the Japanese Ground Self-Defence Forces. With assembly elections in Karnataka just around the corner, Chief Minister Baswaraj Bommai will be presenting his government's last budget today. Saying that this will be a pro-people budget, Bommai had reportedly in recent days said that it will focus on programs that will give more support to poorer and weaker sections, including farmers, women and youth. A day before the Karnataka Chief Minister Baswaraj Bommai will present the last budget before the state assembly elections, the opposition has alleged that the BJP failed to fulfill 91% of the 600 promises made in 2018's manifesto. The Congress General Secretary of the All India Congress Committee, Randeep Singh Surjewala, termed the Chief Minister as a habitual liar over his alleged failure to fulfill his promises of 22-23. The first B20 conference organised by the Confederation of Indian Industry as part of India's G20 presidency will begin in Imphal today. The three-day conference will focus on opportunities for multilateral business partnerships in information and communications technology, medical tourism, healthcare and handlooms. According to officials, delegates from at least 23 nations will attend the program. Besides diplomats, including ambassadors, 26 business delegates will also attend the conference. Now, taking Somo to cognizance of reports on the murder of Nikki Yadav, the Delhi Commission for Women has issued a notice to the Delhi police. The commission has sought the copy of the FIR and the details of the accused arrested in this matter. The Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan has launched a fresh attack on the former Chief Minister and Pradesh Congress Committee Chief Kamal Nath over the Congress's promissory note made during the last assembly elections. Chauhan said that Nath and the Congress do not answer the questions at all. He is just exposing their previous lies. The Walev police have filed a 524-page charge sheet in the Vasai court in Maharashtra against accused Shizan Khan in connection with the Tunisha Sharma murder case, the death case, I beg your pardon. Now, the hearing on the bail plea of the accused Shizan Khan will be heard on Friday in a court. Around 40 people have been booked and 11 of them have been arrested in connection to a clash incident between the two groups in Jharkhand's Palamu. According to police, the situation is likely to become normal in nearly a day or two. The Supreme Court is all set to pronounce its crucial judgment with regards to a political face-off between Uddhav Thackeray and the Shinde group in Maharashtra. This comes in the backdrop of a rebellion by Shinde and a bunch of legislators against the Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray were served a disqualification notice by the Deputy Speaker. News coming in from Rajasthan, where two youngsters were abducted and burnt alive. The Bharatpur police have in fact started an investigation after registering a case on the complaint of the victim's family at the Gopalgarh police station. Now, police have found a Bolero car in Bhiwani in Haryana. This is the same car in which these two people were kidnapped. The police have also recovered two bodies in a burnt condition in the same Bolero car. So this is a shocking case that is being reported from Rajasthan, where we are given to understand that two youngsters were abducted. We are also learning that there are allegations that these two people were burnt alive. The Bharatpur police have begun an investigation. They have registered a complaint of the victim's family at the Gopalgarh police station.
कल रात को गोपालगढ़ थाने पर दो लड़कों के अपहरण की सूचना उनके परिजनों ने दर्ज कराई थी। उनके फ़ोन वगैरह को ट्रेस किया तो फ़ोन स्विच ऑफ आ रहे थे। तो रात भर उनको आसपास के इलाकों में देखा। कुछ लोगों के संदिग्ध लोगों के नाम बताए गए। उनकी ये बताया गया कि वो एक बोलेरो गाड़ी में थे और उनको मारपीट करके अपहरण कर लिया है। आज सुबह वही बोलेरो गाड़ी उसी इंजन नंबर, चेसिस नंबर, रजिस्ट्रेशन नंबर की भिवानी डिस्ट्रिक्ट में लोहारू एरिया के अंदर जली हुई हालत में मिली। उसमें 2 अज्ञात व्यक्तियों की शव भी मिले हैं जो भी जली हुई हालत में हैं। तो गाड़ी तो वही है, ये वही व्यक्ति हैं जिनका अपहरण हुआ था और जलाया गया है।
And this is a tweet that's come in from Asaduddin Owaisi, who has written about this incident. Now, we are given to understand that it appears that the Rajasthan police is looking at this incident very clearly. We are also learning that these 2 youngsters were abducted and burnt alive. The Bolero car in which they were travelling has been found. The car was in fact found in Bhiwani in Haryana. There are allegations that these were cattle smugglers who were in fact suspected to be involved in cattle smuggling, and they were abducted by people, and of course allegations say that they were burnt alive. Let's go across to Amardeep, who is joining us right now. Amardeep, give us more details of this incident.
ये दूसरी तरफ भरतपुर के गोपालगढ़ में जुनैद का घर मेरे ठीक पीछे आप देख रहे हैं, और यहाँ पे मैं विजुअल्स वीडियो जर्नलिस्ट से कहूँगा कि एक बार जाकर के दिखाएं अंदर। यहाँ पे जुनैद और नासिर जो हैं वो दोनों को जिस तरीके से भिवानी में एक बोलेरो गाड़ी में डाल करके जला दिया गया था, उसी को लेकर के एक तरफ महापंचायत है, दूसरी तरफ यहाँ पे उनके परिजन्स जो हैं वो यहाँ आपको दिखाई दे रहे होंगे, जहाँ पंचायत और दूसरी तरफ जुनैद का घर। जुनैद के घर पे महिलाएं जो हैं वो रो रही हैं, क्योंकि जिस तरीके की ये घटना है, एक भयावह घटना को अंजाम दिया गया है। जुनैद और नासिर दोनों को एक बोलेरो गाड़ी में डाल करके जला दिया गया था। परिवार का आरोप यह है कि पहले उनका अपहरण किया गया गोपालगढ़ भरतपुर से, उसके बाद उन्हें हरियाणा के भिवानी लेके जाया गया और भिवानी ले जा करके उनको गाड़ी में डाल करके आग लगा दी गई, जहां नरकंकाल बरामद हुए थे। और जब नरकंकाल बरामद हुए तो गाड़ी से उनकी पहचान हुई कि वो यहाँ के रहने वाले थे। और यहाँ आप देखेंगे तो तस्वीरें आपको दिखाई देंगी। सबसे बड़ी चीज़ ये है कि पुलिस ने अभी तक कोई कामयाबी हासिल नहीं की है, कोई भी गिरफ्तारी अभी पुलिस को हाथ नहीं लगी है। महापंचायत जो हो रही है, पंचायत जो हो रही है मुस्लिम समाज की, उनका कहना यह है कि अभी जब तक हम क्रिमिशन नहीं करेंगे, जब तक हम मिट्टी नहीं देंगे, सुपुर्दे खाक नहीं करेंगे, जब तक गिरफ्तारी नहीं हो जाती और जब तक आरोपी अरेस्ट नहीं हो जाते। और आरोप ये है मुस्लिम समाज का कि जो आरोपी थे उन आरोपियों में कहीं ना कहीं हरियाणा सरकार इन्वॉल्व है, हरियाणा सरकार बचाने का काम करे, इस तरीके के आरोप भी पुलिस की ओर पे लगाए गए हैं, हरियाणा पुलिस पे लगाए गए हैं। हालांकि ये रास्ते जो हैं आप देख सकते हैं, ये गोपालगढ़ के जुनैद और नासिर के घर के बाहर की स्थिति में आपको दिखा रहा हूँ किस तरीके से यहाँ भीड़ है। दूसरी तरफ महापंचायत जो है वो हो रही है। अभी जो यहाँ स्थिति है उसको कह सकते हैं कि अभी सुपुर्दे खाक की रस्म जो है वो अदायगी नहीं होगी जब तक आरोपी गिरफ्तार नहीं हो जाते।
All right, Amandeep, bringing us the latest on this. Thank you very much for joining us, Amandeep. And coming up next, the Supreme Court is to pronounce crucial verdict on the Maharashtra political crisis. And the survey at the BDC's offices concludes late Thursday night.
एक तो 370-35 से हटा, हमें तो पता ही नहीं लगा। उसके पहले का बताइए सर, आपको क्या पता था और क्या हुआ?
370 हटने वाला है। ये कश्मीर में सिर्फ 2.5 लोगों को मालूम था, 2.5 people, and I was complete one of them.
अच्छा सर,
जो भी इवेंचुअलिटीज हो सकती थी वो तमाम कॉन्टीजेंसीज को कैटर किया गया था, उनके बारे में प्लानिंग की गई थी, तैयारी की गई थी। आपको नहीं मालूम था, पाकिस्तान को नहीं मालूम था, किसी को नहीं मालूम था क्या होने वाला है। सीक्रेसी को मेंटेन रखते हुए कैसे इस पूरे चीज की तैयारी की गई और किसी को पता भी नहीं चला कि ये कदम गवर्नमेंट उठाने वाली है।
कितने गाजी आए कितने गाजी गए। अब ये तो सोशल मीडिया में ये जो लफ्ज हैं, ये जो सेंटेंसेस हैं, ये गर्दिश कर रहे हैं। आप बताइए आपके हिसाब से सबसे बेहतरीन चीज कौन सी थी व्हेन यू वर जीओसी 15 कोर? हुआ क्या था सर?
जो आपने बात की कितने गाजी आए कितने गाजी गए और कश्मीर की स्टोरी और कश्मीर की कहानी, ऐसी वो लम्हा था 5 अगस्त 2019 जब आर्टिकल 370 को एब्रोगेट किया गया हिंदुस्तान की सरकार को। उस समय मैं कोर कमांडर था और उस आर्टिकल 370 के एब्रोगेशन के बाद में जो बिल्कुल कश्मीर में शांति रही, एक भी कश्मीरी की जान नहीं गई। लोग कहते थे खून की नदियां बह जाएंगी, लाशें बिछ जाएंगी, ये कुछ भी नहीं होने दिया। एवरी स्क्वायर इंच ऑफ इंडियन टेरिटरी हिंदुस्तान का तिरंगा लहराएगा, हिंदुस्तान की गवर्नमेंट की रिट चलेगी।
एक तो 370-35 से हटा, हमें तो पता ही नहीं लगा। उसके पहले का बताइए सर, आपको क्या पता था और क्या हुआ?
370 हटने वाला है। ये कश्मीर में सिर्फ 2.5 लोगों को मालूम था, 2.5 पीपल, एंड आई वाज कंप्लीट वन ऑफ देम।
अच्छा सर।
जो भी इवेंचुअलिटीज हो सकती थी वो तमाम कॉन्टीजेंसीज को कैटर किया गया था, उनके बारे में प्लानिंग की गई थी, तैयारी की गई थी। आपको नहीं मालूम था, पाकिस्तान को नहीं मालूम था, किसी को नहीं मालूम था क्या होने वाला है। सीक्रेसी को मेंटेन रखते हुए कैसे इस पूरे चीज की तैयारी की गई और किसी को पता भी नहीं चला कि ये कदम गवर्नमेंट उठाने वाली है।
कितने गाजी आए कितने गाजी गए। अब ये तो सोशल मीडिया में ये जो लफ्ज हैं, ये जो सेंटेंसेस हैं, ये गर्दिश कर रहे हैं। आप बताइए आपके हिसाब से सबसे बेहतरीन चीज कौन सी थी व्हेन यू वर जीओसी 15 कोर? हुआ क्या था सर?
जो आपने बात की कितने गाजी आए कितने गाजी गए और कश्मीर की स्टोरी और कश्मीर की कहानी, ऐसी वो लम्हा था 5 अगस्त 2019 जब आर्टिकल 370 को एब्रोगेट किया गया हिंदुस्तान की सरकार को। उस समय मैं कोर कमांडर था और उस आर्टिकल 370 के एब्रोगेशन के बाद में जो बिल्कुल कश्मीर में शांति रही, एक भी कश्मीरी की जान नहीं गई। लोग कहते थे खून की नदियां बह जाएंगी, लाशें बिछ जाएंगी, ये कुछ भी नहीं होने दिया। एवरी स्क्वायर इंच ऑफ इंडियन टेरिटरी हिंदुस्तान का तिरंगा लहराएगा, हिंदुस्तान की गवर्नमेंट की रिट चलेगी।
एक तो 370-35 से हटा, हमें तो पता ही नहीं लगा। उसके पहले का बताइए सर, आपको क्या पता था और क्या हुआ?
370 हटने वाला है।
இது நடந்துட்டு அப்புறம் இவங்க சின்னசாமி எடுத்தோடனே செருப்பெடுத்து கையில காமிச்சிருக்காருக்கா.
I would like to compliment Republic TV, especially from yesterday. You have taken it up in a big way, and thanks to Arnab ji also, who has brought it to the national attention.
Well, George Soros has made a comment on the Adani issue. He said that Modi is silent on the subject, but we will have to answer questions. This is billionaire investor George Soros who was speaking last night. We are given to understand he has said that the Prime Minister will have to respond to questions regarding the turmoil surrounding Gautam Adani's business empire. So this is what George Soros had said yesterday. Now, we are given to understand that in a speech that he gave ahead of the Munich Security Conference, he said that Modi is silent on the subject, but he will have to answer questions from foreign investors and in Parliament. Soros, of course, who has a net worth of about $8.5 billion, is the founder of Open Society Foundations, which gives grants to groups and individuals.
Modi and business tycoon Adani are close allies. Their fate is intertwined. Adani Enterprises tried to raise funds in the stock market but failed. Adani is accused of stock manipulation and his stock collapsed like a house of cards. Modi is silent on the subject, but he will have to answer questions from foreign investors and in Parliament.
Well, Soros, of course, was speaking ahead of the Munich conference. He has said at the conference that Modi is silent on the subject, will have to answer questions on foreign investors and in Parliament. You are watching Republic TV. On the other side, the Supreme Court is to pronounce crucial verdict in the Maharashtra political crisis. And the survey at the BVC's offices concludes.
कितने गाजी आए कितने गाजी गए। अब ये तो सोशल मीडिया में ये जो लफ्ज हैं, ये जो सेंटेंसेस हैं, ये गर्दिश कर रहे हैं। आप बताइए आपके हिसाब से सबसे बेहतरीन चीज कौन सी थी व्हेन यू वर जीओसी 15 कोर हुआ क्या था सर?
जो आपने बात की कितने गाजी आए कितने गाजी गए और कश्मीर की स्टोरी और कश्मीर की कहानी, ऐसी वो लम्हा था 5 अगस्त 2019 जब आर्टिकल 370 को एब्रोगेट किया गया हिंदुस्तान की सरकार के। उस समय मैं कोर कमांडर था और उस आर्टिकल 370 के एब्रोगेशन के बाद में जो बिल्कुल कश्मीर में शांति रही, एक भी कश्मीरी की जान नहीं गई। लोग कहते थे खून की नदियां बह जाएंगी, लाशें बिछ जाएंगी, ये कुछ भी नहीं होने दिया। एवरी स्क्वायर इंच ऑफ इंडियन टेरिटरी हिंदुस्तान का तिरंगा लहराएगा, हिंदुस्तान की गवर्नमेंट की रिट चलेगी।
एक तो 370-35 से हटा, हमें तो पता ही नहीं लगा। उसके पहले का बताइए सर, आपको क्या पता था और क्या हुआ?
370 हटने वाला है। ये कश्मीर में सिर्फ 2.5 लोगों को मालूम था, 2.5 पीपल, एंड आई वाज कंप्लीट वन ऑफ देम।
अच्छा सर,
जो भी इवेंचुअलिटीज हो सकती थी वो तमाम कॉन्टीजेंसीज को कैटर किया गया था, उनके बारे में प्लानिंग की गई थी, तैयारी की गई थी। आपको नहीं मालूम था, पाकिस्तान को नहीं मालूम था, किसी को नहीं मालूम था क्या होने वाला है। सीक्रेसी को मेंटेन रखते हुए कैसे इस पूरे चीज की तैयारी की गई और किसी को पता भी नहीं चला कि ये कदम गवर्नमेंट उठाने वाली है।
कितने गाजी आए कितने गाजी गए। अब ये तो सोशल मीडिया में ये जो लफ्ज हैं, ये जो सेंटेंसेस हैं, ये गर्दिश कर रहे हैं। आप बताइए आपके हिसाब से सबसे बेहतरीन चीज कौन सी थी व्हेन यू वर जीओसी 15 कोर हुआ क्या था सर?
जो आपने बात की कितने गाजी आए कितने गाजी गए और कश्मीर की स्टोरी और कश्मीर की कहानी, ऐसी वो लम्हा था 5 अगस्त 2019 जब आर्टिकल 370 को एब्रोगेट किया गया हिंदुस्तान की सरकार के। उस समय मैं कोर कमांडर था और उस आर्टिकल 370 के एब्रोगेशन के बाद में जो बिल्कुल कश्मीर में शांति रही, एक भी कश्मीरी की जान नहीं गई। लोग कहते थे खून की नदियां बह जाएंगी, लाशें बिछ जाएंगी, ये कुछ भी नहीं होने दिया। एवरी स्क्वायर इंच ऑफ इंडियन टेरिटरी हिंदुस्तान का तिरंगा लहराएगा, हिंदुस्तान की गवर्नमेंट की रिट चलेगी।
एक तो 370-35 से हटा, हमें तो पता ही नहीं लगा। उसके पहले का बताइए सर, आपको क्या पता था और क्या हुआ?
370 हटने वाला है। ये कश्मीर में सिर्फ 2.5 लोगों को मालूम था, 2.5 पीपल, एंड
A very good morning. Thanks for tuning in this Friday morning. Let's get started with the top headlines this morning.
हम दोनों फौज में हैं। फौज में तुम कैसे चला जाओगे, मैं देखता हूँ तुम्हारा को करके प्लान करके, ये छोटी सी बात पे प्लान करके 6 परिवार मिलके मारे थे।
Republic investigation exposes how political goons planned to lynch Nayak Prabhu.
Mr. Stalin, what do you have to say on the recent death of Nayak Prabhu? Mr. Stalin, what do you have to say on the recent death of Prabhu? DMK is involved in this. DMK is involved in that.
Vadra Congress and its allies silent from skiing to campaigning. They cannot find 10 seconds to tweet for a soldier. Republic campaign echoes across the country. Voices from all over India demand justice for soldier. Supreme Court to pronounce crucial verdict on Maharashtra political crisis. The marathon IT survey at BBC offices conclude on late Thursday night. After back-to-back attack on Hindu temple, Canada condemns, says temples have become target of hate crime. All right, we begin with our top focus. The Supreme Court is all set to pronounce its crucial judgment with regard to the political face-off between the Uddhav faction and the Shinde group in Maharashtra. We are now given to understand that this verdict would of course have larger ramifications as well on defections. Our executive editor for politics, Ashwara Kapoor, is also joining us. Ashwara, if you can give us a sense as to the kind of arguments that we can expect in the top court and what exactly are going to be the ramifications when we talk about the defections which could happen after the Supreme Court order.
Well, Samisha, that's right. It's a 5-judge constitution bench of the Supreme Court which is shortly going to pronounce. And to be very clear, it's a 2016 Nabam Rebia judgment that whether it should be referred to a larger bench for reconsideration or not, by my watch, it is just within the next few minutes itself. If you remember, back in 2016, in the Nabam Rebia case, a 5-judge constitutional bench has held that Speaker cannot, and I repeat that the Speaker of an assembly cannot initiate a disqualification proceeding if action against that member is already pending. So it is going to be very important because that will in turn directly or indirectly decide the politics of Maharashtra as well. It will have a direct reverberation onto the politics of Maharashtra. Thus, this is the Sena versus Sena case. We have with us our legal editor, Executive Editor Legal Rhythm Anand Bharadwaj also joining in. We have our guest Desh Ratan Nigam also there. If Rhythm is there, Rhythm, can you hear me? Yeah, so I'm going to go to our guest first, Desh Ratan Nigam. Desh Ratan Nigam, sir, so what's happening is that whatever happens in the court today, in this 5-judge constitutional bench, this will have a direct impact, as it said, direct reverberation onto the politics of Maharashtra. Sir, both Eknath Shinde and Uddhav Thackeray are keeping a very close watch on this, sir.
Absolutely, Aishwarya and Samiksha. One thing is very, very important, that there are 5 petitions pending, cross petitions, challenging each other's, actions that have been taken. But one of the biggest issue that arises is you have to go to the starting point, the pre-poll alliance. The pre-poll alliance is most sacrosanct, as been held in Kyoto Holohan's case and also in Prasad's case, where they reiterated Sarkaria Commission's recommendations also, where it said if during an election, if there is a absolute majority, there is no problem. Then the next comes pre-poll alliances. Then comes the post-poll alliances. If nothing is possible, then the re-election. So in this case, it's a pre-poll alliance where the 2 parties, Shiv Sena and the BJP, went to the people with a common agenda and won the election. However, that pre-poll alliance was broken by the Shiv Sena and entered into a post-poll alliance, defeating the electoral verdict. So the entire issue is based on pre-poll alliance. Now the complexities of the entire issue will melt away if you keep this pre-poll alliance as sacrosanct, and then all this, the actions of the speaker and the others will become only procedural. Now let me also point out, Harish Salve had pointed out in court that it is only an academic exercise. Why he said so? Because the Uddhav Thackeray had resigned from the post, knowing fully well that he cannot pass the floor test. And once he resigned, the rest of the issues become academic. If he had not resigned and the floor test had taken place, then all these issues would arise, the role of the speaker, the disqualification and everything. Now, Nabam Rabia is very clear, as you also pointed out rightly, that if the disqualification, if the notice is been given to the speaker for his removal, then he cannot proceed with the disqualification notices of the MLAs. And that is a constitution bench judgment. It is not a division bench judgment. And that is what it's saying. It still holds good. Now, once you take the totality of the facts and circumstances, the complexities may be there. But in this particular case, if you keep the pre-poll alliance and the resignation of the Uddhav Thackeray, then nothing survives in this. And it would be only an academic exercise raising theoretical questions when that kind of a situation has not yet arisen. And therefore, I agree with Harish Salve's submission that it is only an academic exercise. Yes, these issues which have been there. And let me
you are saying this, that it's only an academic. No, sir, but
yes.
Sir, but you are saying that this is only an academic exercise, while the other camp is still very, very clearly saying, even when yesterday Chief Justice Chandrachud reserved his judgment on the point of reference, sir, the other side came out and there were certain very specific political reactions which came in from the Uddhav Thackeray camp. So they are just not taking it as an academic exercise, though you may feel so, but legally speaking, this will have a direct impact onto the politics and onto the political future of not only two individuals, but two camps. This will have a direct impact, positive or negative. But onto the Uddhav Thackeray camp, it is going to have a massive, massive impact.
Obviously, Aishwarya, obviously, not only Uddhav Thackeray's camp, it will have a national impact because such kind of issues keep on arising in various states, whether it is in the northeast or Goa or otherwise. And therefore, the issue, as so far as Uddhav Thackeray camp is concerned, because they are the aggrieved party, they will obviously say it is not an academic exercise. However, does this particular case raise questions in the event when there are certain principles well settled? One, the pre-poll alliance is most sacrosanct and only principal defection is allowed, unprincipled defections are not allowed. Second, the floor test is the ultimate test in a democracy. And Uddhav Thackeray resigned and did not face the floor test. And thirdly, also Nabam Rebia as of now holds the ground because deputy speaker or the speaker cannot move forward if his removal notice is there in the matter of disqualification of MLAs. So in my opinion, the floor test is the ultimate test and Uddhav Thackeray ran away from that. And the pre-poll alliance is most sacrosanct and post-poll alliance is always colored, it is opportunistic. And therefore, today, let us see how the Supreme Court handles it. Obviously, Uddhav Thackeray camp and Kapil Sibal would always say that it's a colored exercise of power, whether the governor can call Eknath Shinde or not, or Uddhav Thackeray should have faced the floor test or not. These are the issues. But whether they arise in this particular case,
this is a very important point when you say, Mr. Deshratan Nigam, that this is not going to only, and Samiksha, this is not going to only have an impact onto the politics of Maharashtra, but this is also going to set a precedent for all the other political parties and specifically to the smaller states where we see such kind of shifts between the politicians and such kind of rifts of division between the political parties. So this will also set precedent for not only Eknath Shinde and then Shiv Sena, that is the Uddhav Thackeray faction, but also for certain other political parties and also for the future. I am sure that at least half a dozen very important politicians across the country, Samiksha and Mr. Deshratan Nigam, are going to have their eyes locked on this judgment. Because at least on 4 incidents, as a reporter, I am aware that they are looking to shift. But only and only because of the legality of the matter, they have been waiting.
Is the question to me?
Sir.
Yeah. Let me tell you, as you said and rightly pointed out, that it will have a national impact and it may solve certain, tricky situations. But the tricky situations, courts do not apply for futuristic situations. Courts only apply if the situation has arisen as of now. There are various questions which has arisen, but in the event when the Uddhav Thackeray has resigned, then the floor test becomes the ultimate test, whoever has been called by the governor to prove its majority. Now, another question is very important out here. This was an inter se dispute and dissent within a particular party. should the writ petition be entertained by the court? Because then the election commission is the person to actually decide which is the real Shiv Sena. So inter se disputes between within a party cannot be entertained by the court. Not in the writ petition, certainly. They may go in a civil suit in a court, but not in a writ petition. That's a very important point that has also risen. So election commission's role becomes very important. That issue has also been framed by the previous bench, 3 judges bench. One of the 10 questions is that also. So there are issues, but whether this situation demands for that particular action or not is a very important question, because courts should not enter into an arena in futuristic sense. They must address the issue at point, especially in view when the Uddhav Thackeray resigned and did not face the floor test, where floor test in a democracy is the ultimate test for recognition of the government.
No, but no. Politically speaking, that's absolutely correct, and the people of this country also understand. But then the Uddhav Thackeray faction is saying that they have basically sought reconsideration of the Nabam Rebia. Eknath Shinde camp had basically opposed it. But when it comes down to this, Samiksha, and my camera person is just setting the frame better, but at this point of time, we have our presence on ground as well. Our colleagues Akhilesh and Sambhav are also on ground right outside the Supreme Court and one inside. So we will get the latest input from there as well. But what is happening is that this will have a direct impact. And why am I saying so? Because all the other regional political parties, there has been a weight of a result of this. Because at least in 4 major states, and out of which Mr. Deshratan Nigam also have certain specific indication, because he mentioned Northeast. So there is a weight of this judgment, because at least there is going to be a parallel division, a vertical division, beg your pardon, a vertical division in at least 2 states. But they have basically awaited this judgment. And when it comes down to the morality of the matter, sir, when you say that no, when the people vote, that is yes, that is there. But all these politicians, irrespective party lines, Samiksha, they all and only dread what happens legally, and that's why I am being told at least in 2 particular states, there is going to be a direct impact of it. Back to you in the studio, Samiksha.
All right, Ishwara, thank you for all of the insights that you're sharing with us. But I would want another question answer from Deshratan. Sir, if you can help us understand the kind of ramifications this verdict is going to have, because we understand this could lead to defections also, not just from the Uddhav faction, if it is, of course, not in favor of Uddhav faction, but also from the other faction as well.
Well, Samiksha, in fact, if today what is the court going to do is very important, that they may refer Rabia's case to a larger bench, a 7 judges bench. So that issue cannot be decided today, or they may reject that because and uphold Rabia's case. Once they reject Rabia's case, they have to give cogent reasons that there are clear, cogent and apparent errors in the Nabam Rabia's case, which is very important, because that deals with a specific situation where the speaker cannot proceed with the disqualification notices of MLAs if notice for his own removal is pending. So if they reject Rabia's case, then they have to refer it to larger bench of 7 judges that will decide. So that issue cannot be decided today. It can only be decided if they uphold the Rabia's case. Now, since the issue will not be able to be decided today, then I think Rabia's case, either they will have to constitute a larger bench of 7 judges and then stay Rabia's case, and then they will proceed. So today, I don't think they'll be able to reject the Rabia's case. They can only constitute. And once that 7 judges bench, constitution bench decides, then only the Rabia's case can be, set aside. And yes, obviously, the reference here would be to larger. And since there are other issues also involved, I think they all are interrelated. So, in my opinion, they may decide 1 or 2 issues, or may entirely refer everything to the 7 judges bench.
Speaking to us, Sudesh Ratan Nigam, advocate Supreme Court, giving us his perspective as a crucial hearing there happening as we speak. Shinde camp against a larger bench, whereas the Thackeray faction, which is called for a larger bench in this case. The visuals there on your screens right now, live streaming from the Supreme Court as we speak. Now, this is.
Justice Deepak Mishra, as the learned Chief Justices then were, and by Justice Madan B. Lokur. The opinions of Justice J.S. Kehar and Justice Deepak Mishra hold that the Speaker should desist from considering a petition for disqualification under the 10th schedule to the Constitution when a notice indicating an intent to remove him has been moved. This principle is formulated in the following observation in the decision of Justice J.S. Kehar, para 194. We hereby hold that it would be constitutionally impermissible for a Speaker to adjudicate upon the disqualifications petitions under the 10th schedule while a notice of resolution for his own removal from the office of Speaker is pending. A similar view has been expressed by Justice Deepak Mishra in the following extract from para 238. When there is an expression of intention to move the resolution to remove him, it is requisite that he should stand the test and then proceed. That is the intent of Article 179C, and the said interpretation serves a litmus test of sustained democracy founded on rule of law. And the founding fathers had so intended, and the constitutional value, trust, and morality unequivocally so suggest. It would be an anathema to the concept of constitutional adjudication if the Speaker is allowed to initiate proceeding under the 10th schedule of the Constitution after intention to remove him from his office is moved. However, Justice Madan B. Lokur, in the course of his judgment, held that, para 401, in the view that I have taken, I am of the opinion that the view expressed by my learned brothers relating to the power or propriety of the Speaker taking a decision on the 10th schedule of the Constitution with regard to the 14 members of the Legislative Assembly does not at all arise in these appeals. The issue of whether a reference to a bench of 7 judges should be made cannot be considered in the abstract, isolated or divorced from the facts of the case. Whether the above principle which has been formulated in Nabam Rebia has an impact upon the factual position in the present case needs deliberation. In the above backdrop, the issue whether a reference of the decision in Nabam Rebia to a larger bench is warranted would be determined together with the merits of the case. Consequently, the batch of cases is set down for hearing on merits on Tuesday, 21 February 2023 at 10:30 a.m.
Viewers, what's happening in the Supreme Court as we are speaking? First, I'll tell you there are all the people are already standing in the Supreme Court for this historic verdict. We can see senior advocate Mahesh Jethmalani, who appeared for the Shinde camp inside the courtroom. We see Tushar Mehta, Solicitor General of India, who presented and was present in there. We see Maninder Singh, who's also standing there. For the other side, the Uddhav Sena side, we can see Kapil Sibal and Dr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, who are standing there. Now, let me tell you, already the breaking news that's coming in from the Supreme Court, we're going to put this out for you. Viewers. The bench has given its judgment and the bench has got up. The bench has today in the Maharashtra crisis case clearly given out the judgment. We're saying the issue whether Nabam Rebia requires reference would be considered within the merits of the case. Consequently, the hearing on the merits of the case will be on Tuesday at 10:30 a.m., which means the issue of Nabam Rebia reference will be considered with merits of the case. They've kept the issue open and the Supreme Court has declined referring the matter to the seven judge bench for now. The Supreme Court will hear the matter next on Tuesday. You can see what a huge political issue this was, as we can see all the counsel standing in the top court. Even as I'm speaking, I can see visuals of the Uddhav camp. That's Dr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, senior advocate, Kapil Sibal next to him, along with Amit and Thomas, other lawyers whom I can see present in the courtroom. The court has gotten up And the Supreme Court has therefore said the Nabam Refia reference will be considered with merits of the case. Viewers, let me take you out of the technicalities of all that we are talking and take you to what really I beg your sorry for that. What the case is all about. This is a plea that was moved by Uddhav Thackeray's faction of the Shiv Sena that wanted to refer the 5-judge decision in the case that's called Nabam Rebia. Nabam Rebia is the case name. It was in 2016. They wanted this to be heard by a 7-judge bench, which means they want more people to decide this political legal issue. Now, what really happened? The Thackeray faction, whom we can see the pictures on the screen very clearly, which is Kapil Sibal, Dr. Singhvi, spoke in the camp. What did they say for this camp in the Supreme Court? They said the judgment restricted the powers of the Speaker to examine disqualification petitions if a resolution for his removal was pending. Let me take our viewers back to when the Maharashtra crisis really happened. At that time, the bench had asked, there was a 10th schedule that was under the scanner. We remember there were disqualification petitions pending at that time before the Speaker. Even as they were pending, there was also a petition for the removal of the Speaker themselves when the Maharashtra crisis was on. It seems very technical, but it's a very simple issue. The question was whether a Speaker, when his own prima facie merits were being questioned, could pass a resolution to removal or disqualification of certain MLAs. Now the Thackeray faction had contended the judgment restricted the power of the Speaker to examine the disqualification petition because they said there's a resolution for his own removal pending and therefore it could be misused by a political party. The consequent disqualification can be avoided by disabling the Speaker from proceedings with disqualification. Now the Supreme Court, let's tell you the breaking news coming in, has said this particular issue will be heard on merits. They will hear it on Tuesday. The 5-judge bench sat today and gave out its order. Chief Justice of India, Justice Chandrachud, gave this particular short order saying that they will hear it in detail after they heard a host of counsels from Thackeray faction that were led by Kapil Sibal, and Eknath Shinde's group was being represented by Hari Salve. The bench also observed, we have seen how vexed the Nabam Rebia can be. The judgment has laid down a principle. Before we decide to enter upon this, we need to be very sure it arises in this case. The bench comprised of Justice Shah, Justice Kohli, Justice Krishna Murari, Justice Narasimha. They pointed out in the instant case the resolution against the Speaker was not tested in the House. The bench had orally given out certain details about what needs to be done. I also want to tell our viewers, as I'm trying to see what really happened inside the courtroom, rival factions in the case in the state of Maharashtra had moved to Supreme Court. The Shiv Sena faction was led by Uddhav Thackeray, and the Eknath Shinde Shiv Sena faction led by Uddhav Thackeray was represented by Kapil Sibal, Dr. Singhvi, and Eknath Shinde camp was led by top counsels Mr. Hari Salve, Maninder Singh, Mahesh Jethmalani. We also saw the centre making issues here. During the hearing, the court had questioned and spoken about the powers of the Speaker. So viewers, why this case is also attracting attention is twofold. One, it's a political issue arising for the state of Maharashtra. More importantly, it's a constitutional issue that needs to be decided on the powers of the Speaker under the 10th schedule. The 10th schedule is a schedule in the Constitution that deals with defection law. So one needs to really understand what the powers of the Speaker here are. In fact, in that sense, I just want to go across to an observation that was also made by the Supreme Court when the Supreme Court said the Speaker created, in our case, what happens is the Speaker created problems for himself, maybe due to political exigency. He said on 25th time is given. On 26th, the Supreme Court extended it to 12 July. Meanwhile, trust vote happened and with Uddhav Thackeray. So what could have happened? The party was never tested. So he's talking about what really was happening. We saw the advocates who appeared in the courtroom. And there was a question about the Nabam Rebia judgment. The Uddhav Thackeray faction urged the court to interpret the 10th schedule of the Constitution in a way that it cannot be used to topple governments. And the importance of this case really lies in trying to understand what needs to happen when there's defection, what needs to happen when the speaker's role is under the scanner, and how the court has to look at it. In fact, one of the arguments that was also made was looking at earlier cases in which this has happened. But the genesis of this entire case is the split in the Shiv Sena political party. It was divided into two factions. We all remember what happened. One was the faction by Uddhav Thackeray and the other one was led by Eknath Shinde. They went on, Eknath Shinde, of course, as we all know, is the Chief Minister of Maharashtra. He went on to replace Uddhav as Maharashtra's Chief Minister after the split in Shiv Sena. Now, what happened? The Supreme Court was called to consider what is the main issue here that was being considered politically, whether rebel members should be disqualified. On 27th of June 2022, the court had granted interim relief to Shinde and his camp by extending the time to file responses to the notices. Let me, as I'm continuing to speak, go across to Deshrata Nigam, who's joining us and was with us earlier in the morning. Deshrata Nigam, the court has declined for this matter to be referred to a larger bench, but they're going to hear it. What is the political significance of this, constitutionally speaking, sir?
The political significance is that Nabam Rabia's principal stay as of now, because it has not been referred to a larger bench, and the Kapil Sibbal's and Dr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi's arguments have been rejected, very clearly rejected, because they wanted it the referral to the larger bench. Now, Nabam Rabia's case says, it says a speaker cannot proceed with the disqualification notices of the MLAs if his own removal notice is pending. Therefore, if he exercises that, the entire exercise would be biased and a colorable exercise of power. So that Supreme Court has upheld, and therefore they will hear in the light of Nabam Rabia case on merits whether the facts of the present dispute which is pending before the Supreme Court between the two factions of Uddhav Thackeray will be seen in the light of Nabam Rabia's case. Now, another very important issue arises, as I had said in the beginning, that word split has been omitted in the para 3 of the 10th schedule. In a party, if there is a split in a party, that defense is not available against disqualification proceedings. So word split has been omitted out there, and if there is a split, whether the writ petitions under 226 or Article 32 would lie in the Supreme Court or the High Court or not, that's also a very, very important issue, because then it's an inter se dispute within a party where the Election Commission has to look into it, or you go under a civil suit in a court of law, appropriate court of law. So that issue will also be discussed probably when the courts sit down to hear this matter. So it will have ramifications, but the principle of Nabam Rabia has been upheld, that a speaker cannot, proceed in a circumstances which has been named therein.
So I just want to ask you one more question. Deshrata Nigam, I'll request you to stay with us. Very interesting insight into the judgment. Viewers, we're going to slip into a break, but on the other side, we get you details. A big blow coming in for the Uddhav faction who wanted this case to be given or referred to a 7-judge bench, which for now has not happened, is the top focus. We'll come back with more understanding of the consequences of today's judgment from the top court.
एक तो 370-35 से हटा, हमें तो पता ही नहीं लगा। उसके पहले का बताइए सर, आपको क्या पता था और क्या हुआ?
370 हटने वाला है। ये कश्मीर में सिर्फ 2.5 लोगों को मालूम था, 2.5 people, and I was complete one of them.
अच्छा सर।
जो भी इवेंचुअलिटीज हो सकती थी, वो तमाम कॉन्टीजेंसीज को कैटर किया गया था, उनके बारे में प्लानिंग की गई थी, तैयारी की गई थी। आपको नहीं मालूम था, पाकिस्तान को नहीं मालूम था, किसी को नहीं मालूम था क्या होने वाला है। सीक्रेसी को मेंटेन रखते हुए कैसे इस पूरे चीज की तैयारी की गई और किसी को पता भी नहीं चला कि ये कदम गवर्नमेंट उठाने वाली है।
कितने गाजी आए, कितने गाजी गए। अब ये तो सोशल मीडिया में ये जो लफ्ज हैं, ये जो सेंटेंसेस हैं, ये गर्दिश कर रहे हैं। आप बताइए, आपके हिसाब से सबसे बेहतरीन चीज कौन सी थी व्हेन यू वर जीओसी 15 कोर? हुआ क्या था सर?
जब आपने बात की कितने गाजी आए, कितने गाजी गए और कश्मीर की स्टोरी और कश्मीर की कहानी, ऐसे वो लम्हा था 5 अगस्त 2019 जब आर्टिकल 370 को एब्रोगेट किया गया हिंदुस्तान की सरकार को। उस समय मैं कोर कमांडर था और उस आर्टिकल 370 के एब्रोगेशन के बाद में जो बिल्कुल कश्मीर में शांति रही, एक भी कश्मीरी की जान नहीं गई। लोग कहते थे खून की नदियां बह जाएंगी, लाशें बिछ जाएंगी, ये कुछ भी नहीं होने दिया। एवरी स्क्वायर इंच ऑफ इंडियन टेरिटरी, हिंदुस्तान का तिरंगा लहराएगा, हिंदुस्तान की गवर्नमेंट की रिट चलेगी।
एक तो 370-35 से हटा, हमें तो पता ही नहीं लगा। उसके पहले का बताइए सर, आपको क्या पता था और क्या हुआ?
370 हटने वाला है। ये कश्मीर में सिर्फ 2.5 लोगों को मालूम था, 2.5 people, and I was complete one of them।
अच्छा सर।
जो भी इवेंचुअलिटीज हो सकती थी, वो तमाम कॉन्टीजेंसीज को कैटर किया गया था, उनके बारे में प्लानिंग की गई थी, तैयारी की गई थी। आपको नहीं मालूम था, पाकिस्तान को नहीं मालूम था, किसी को नहीं मालूम था क्या होने वाला है। सीक्रेसी को मेंटेन रखते हुए कैसे इस पूरे चीज की तैयारी की गई और किसी को पता भी नहीं चला कि ये कदम गवर्नमेंट उठाने वाली है।
कितने गाजी आए, कितने गाजी गए। अब ये तो सोशल मीडिया में ये जो लफ्ज हैं, ये जो सेंटेंसेस हैं, ये गर्दिश कर रहे हैं। आप बताइए, आपके हिसाब से सबसे बेहतरीन चीज कौन सी थी व्हेन यू वर जीओसी 15 कोर? हुआ क्या था सर?
जो आपने बात की कितने गाजी आए, कितने गाजी गए और कश्मीर की स्टोरी और कश्मीर की कहानी, ऐसे वो लम्हा था 5 अगस्त 2019 जब आर्टिकल 370 को एब्रोगेट किया गया हिंदुस्तान की सरकार के। उस समय मैं कोर कमांडर था और उस आर्टिकल 370 के एब्रोगेशन के बाद में जो बिल्कुल कश्मीर में शांति रही, एक भी कश्मीरी की जान नहीं गई। लोग कहते थे खून की नदियां बह जाएंगी, लाशें बिछ जाएंगी, ये कुछ भी नहीं होने दिया। एवरी स्क्वायर इंच ऑफ इंडियन टेरिटरी, हिंदुस्तान का तिरंगा लहराएगा, हिंदुस्तान की गवर्नमेंट की रिट चलेगी।
एक तो 370-35 से हटा, हमें तो पता ही नहीं लगा। उसके पहले का बताइए सर, आपको क्या पता था और क्या हुआ?
370 हटने वाला है। ये कश्मीर में सिर्फ 2.5 लोगों को मालूम था।
Mr. Stalin, what do you have to say on the recent death of Lance Nayak Prabhu? Mr. Stalin, what do you have to say on the recent death of Prabhu? DMK is involved in this. DMK is involved in that.
Well, 48 hours on, the DMK and the Congress remain silent on the chorus for justice for Lance Nayak Prabhu.
Adani Enterprises tried to raise funds in the stock market but failed. Adani is accused of stock manipulation and his stock collapsed like a house of cards.
Now, George Soros jumps into the Adani issue, targets the Prime Minister. Is the Adani issue the biggest giveaway yet? It is a setback to the Uddhav camp. The Supreme Court declines referring the matter to a larger bench. Suspected smugglers are abducted, tortured and burnt alive in Haryana. Owaisi alleges cow vigilantism. Not a word on the Ramcharitmanas burning. Samajwadi Party suspends 2 leaders who oppose the SP Maurya. Days after anti-India graffiti on Hindu temple in Mississauga, Canada condemns Hinduphobia. Well, good morning and thank you very much for staying with us on Republic TV. This is live and breaking. In fact, we have now been able to access the FIR copy in the murder case of Lance Nayak Prabhu, and we are given to understand that the Tamil Nadu police has now added a murder charge to the FIR. There are multiple sections that have been slapped against the accused after Republic TV's expose. In fact, let's go across to Prajwal for more details. Prajwal, tell us more about the FIR as well as the fact that finally Section 302 has been added to it.
Absolutely. Now, based on the complaint of the deceased brother Prabhakaran, now there has been non-bailable sections which has been added, because initially it was only attempt to murder and cases were booked under rioting under sections 147 and 148. But now we get to understand that additional sections of 323, 324 and also section 302 has been added, which has been updated in the FIR copy, and section 294B2 has been added. Out of these 7 sections here, we are also looking at 3 non-bailable sections, which is section 302, which is murder, section 307, attempt to murder, and section 324. This is very important here, Nupur, because I was speaking about the weapons, the evidence which has been seized, which has been taken into custody here. So section 324 points out to that, if anybody is causing hurt voluntarily by dangerous weapons or means of it. So the weapons angle has already been mentioned in the case, meaning to say that now the police are going on to build a case here. We're also seeing 147 and 148. 148 has now been added, which is rioting with weapons, and also section 294B has also been added, which is a bailable offense. It won't mean much to the case, but majority of what had to be put in the FIR has finally been done. And we are also seeing that there has been a lot of police activity around the house of Lance Nayak Prabhu here, because now we are seeing that the investigation officers, some of the inspectors from the police station are here. They are going on to collect information as well. And you can look at it right there on our screens that the investigating officer, one of them is here, the SI, who in the first place went on to file this FIR, is also here collecting details. And this started happening since last evening, where we saw that, also officials from the intelligence wing also coming in here to take a report. But what is very surprising here is the fact that what sort of spot inquest has been conducted here, because according to the police records, on the 15th of Feb, the accused was taken into custody, the main accused Chinnasamy that we are speaking about. But after that, till now, it has been over 48 hours, but there has been no spot inquest which has been conducted, meaning to say that the GPS geo coordinates had to be collected, and the police are doing it by themselves. So how will the crime scene be recreated is also one of the questions that needs to be asked over here. And also now momentarily they are speaking to all these residents who could become potential eyewitnesses here, because it is not only the 2 versions of the accused and the victim that has to be taken in this case, but also that of the eyewitnesses too. And eyewitnesses hold the key, as we were earlier saying. So who are these eyewitnesses? What is the sort of background check that they are going on to do here? And were they a party to it? That is something that needs to be seen here and has to be pointed out, because the people, one thing should be remembered, the people still fear the DMK. They still feel that the DMK cadres might go on and attack them. So what will be the sort of statements that will be coming in, which will be recorded by the police, will also be under a lot of scrutiny.
All right, Prajwal, do stay with us. I think we've also got Aneri joining us live right now from Chennai. Aneri, give us a sense of the political reactions that have been coming. The BJP, of course, has accused the DMK government of laxity.
Well, that's right, Nupur. Well, when we talk about the political reactions, and also at the same time when we talk about the DMK government here in Tamil Nadu, there's no response from the DMK government. Well, not even a single statement coming in from the government, nor the Chief Minister continues to be silent on this whole issue. Whereas we also see that the ally, the Congress party here in Tamil Nadu, has not even issued any sort of statement. No statement coming in from the Congress party. So a complete silence from the ruling government and the Congress party, whereas we see that the BJP has decided that they will continue to protest against the DMK government. And also, not to forget, Nupur, DMK councillor is one of the main accused in this particular case, where we see that the DMK government, despite all of this, has not issued any kind of response on this.
All right, Aneri, stay with us. Let me go back to Prajwal now. Prajwal, we are given to understand that the crime scene is now being recreated. So take us through what's happening even as we speak.
So essentially this is a spot inquest or a spot mahajar which is conducted by the police, recreating the scene of crime as to exactly what happened and how did this happen as well. It will be recreated with both the victim's narration as well as the accused narration as well. But what is very surprising here is the fact that the accused have not still been brought to the spot to recreate the entire scene, whereas the cops are going on to collect information. They essentially collect information. They essentially also collect the statements. If any party were an eyewitness, if they were an eyewitness to the entire crime scene, and the statements of the victims will also be recorded here. So therefore, essentially now we are looking at a spot inquest on our screens, but the accused are missing. The accused are missing here, and they will have to be brought in here, which we get to understand now from the sources that it might happen at the later part of the day, the later stage of the day, after which the charge sheet will be filed. According to the FIR, according to the FIR which we have accessed, where the murder charge has been added and several other non-bailable sections have been added, the FIR mentions that the case is still under investigation. So which part of the case are they investigating, and what are they investigating? And in the charge sheet, what is the sort of evidence that has been seized in the form of weapons, and where were any sort of marks or evidence which was found here on the streets where this particular crime happened? All this will be taken into consideration, even as we are still getting information that this will happen very soon as well, even as the cops go on to get and collect statements and information from the eyewitnesses who are present here.
All right, so as we can see on our screens right now, pictures are coming in from Krishnagiri district, where the police are now investigating. Let's go back across right now to Prajwal, who is bringing us more details on this. Now, Prajwal, many are questioning the delay in action in terms of adding these sections of the IPC, really, because, it was only after about 2 days or so that the police did add the murder charge as well as other charges against the accused.
Sir. Absolutely, because it is pretty important to understand that now what happens is that in legal technicalities, the cops are showing that there were legal loopholes in the case already when it was filed. So essentially, on the 14th of Feb, when Lance Nayak Prabhu passed away, then the murder charge had to be added. But this has been done only on the 15th, meaning to say until then it was an attempt to murder because the victim was alive. This is the technicalities of which the SP had also mentioned now. So this is where they are hiding. But now section 302 has already been added. That is one of the most important things that has to be seen. We are also seeing section 323 and 324 that has been added. Section 324 being added to this case will provide an edge to the victim's family, and they can go on to fight their case in the court, because it also mentions about those voluntarily causing hurt by the perpetrators using weapons. So the word weapon is mentioned, meaning to say that the cops have taken this evidence into account. The iron rods, the wooden clubs and wooden logs, and also the sickles that were used to hit out at Lance Nayak Prabhu's family members as well. So this is something which will be very important, very crucial for the case, and we can get to understand that this will only strengthen the case further after only rioting and attempt to murder was added in the initial FIR which was filed by the police.
All right, Prajwal, of course, is continuing to bring us the latest on this. So as Prajwal is pointing out, there is a reconstruction that is happening. Now, even as all of this happens, of course, the DMK and Stalin, who also happens to be the Home Minister of Tamil Nadu, has refused so far to react on this. Let me go back across to Prajwal now. Prajwal, one of the charges that has been laid at the doorstep of the DMK is that they were, in a sense, trying to shield one of their councillors who is now the main accused in this murder case. Tell us more.
Absolutely. So Chinnaswamy is a ward councillor from from this locality, from the MGR Nagar, is what we get to understand. And also now, if you look at the sort of reactions that came in here against him, and obviously the people did not want to speak on camera. It is being understood that he used his power, he used his clout around in the locality, but there were no such major incidents which were reported against him until this happened. He had similar run-ins, but one of the major charges that was made by the father of the deceased soldier was that they were drunk, the sons and the accused and his sons were drunk, and then they started beating them mercilessly, and they were not even, they were not even in their senses when the victim's family was trying to plead for their lives. These were the sort of statements that was being made. So this only highlights the fact that the DMK was not taking action against this ward councillor, and between February 12th to between February 15th, he was admitted in a hospital. But between Feb 9th to Feb 12th, when this councillor fled to Karnataka, what exactly were the cops doing in? Was he given a time way? Was he given a passage to escape here? And also, when the victim's father is alleging that he was drunk, will the medical report also be considered here? That is something which needs to be considered. Back to you in the studios.
Absolutely. So Prajwal is bringing us the latest from Krishnanagar, as well as I think Aneri also was joining us earlier from Chennai. Both of you, thank you very much for joining us. Well, we now move on and look at what else is making news this morning. George Soros has jumped into the Adani issue. While speaking at an event last night, he said that Modi is silent on the subject, but he will have to answer questions. The billionaire investor has urged the Indian Prime Minister to respond to questions regarding the turmoil surrounding Gautam Adani's business empire, calling them close allies.
Modi and business tycoon Adani are close allies. Their fate is intertwined. Adani Enterprises tried to raise funds in the stock market but failed. Adani is accused of stock manipulation.
All right, Baswaraj Bommai, of course, has announced that Karnataka will be building a Ram Mandir that will be taken up at Ramanagara. This has been announced by the Karnataka Chief Minister Baswaraj Bommai during the budget presentation in the State Assembly in Bengaluru. Now, do remember that this is the last final budget of the government in Karnataka before Karnataka heads to polls. We are given to understand is that this pre-election budget, in this, apart from the focus that was supposed to be on women as well as lower sections of society, the Ram Mandir construction will also be taken up at Ramanagara. This has been announced by the Karnataka Chief Minister Baswaraj Bommai during the budget presentation in the State Assembly in Bengaluru. So there is going to be a new Ram Mandir that is going to be built in Ramnagara.
ಸೇರಿದ ಸುಮಾರು 50 ಲಕ್ಷ ರೈತರಿಗೆ ಅನುಕೂಲವಾಗಲಿದೆ. ರೈತರಿಗೆ ಅತ್ಯಾಧುನಿಕ ಕೃಷಿ ಯಂತ್ರೋಪಕರಣ ಸುಲಭವಾಗಿ ದೊರೆಯುವಂತೆ ಮಾಡಲು ಕೃಷಿ.
All right, Prajwal has more details on this. Prajwal, tell us more about the details that we now have access to in this budget. Now, obviously, this is an extremely crucial budget for Karnataka as it comes right before the state heads into polls.
Absolutely. Now, we are getting information that in this budget, which is now being presented by Chief Minister Baswaraj Bommai, we are getting information that the Chief Minister has also stated that a Ram Mandir will now be built in Ramnagara. And this was earlier also announced by the Minister of Higher Education and IT DT, Ashwath Narayan. And he also stated that a Ram Mandir will be built there. And the UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath will also be called in for for the inauguration. But apart from this, now we are also looking at agriculture as one of the key sectors, and also urban planning and development too, because the BJP government had also been facing a lot of heat when it came to potholes, mainly the civic infrastructure, which was down in the dumps too. So we are expecting that there will be some additional.
We are expecting that there will be some additional announcements made by the Chief Minister of Karnataka, Basvaraj Bommai, in this regard. But mainly when it comes to the farming sector, we are looking at interest-free loans for those farmers who are having less than 5 acre of lands, because initially the rebate was up to for farmers who were having less than 1 acre of land, but now we are looking till 5 acres. Will this be done as well? But one of the major problems for the Basvaraj Bommai led government is that this government will be there for only 2 months, and for this to be implemented, there should be there should be a government which has to come into power, and all depends on the fact whether it will be the BJP government which will again come to power in Karnataka or not, because the electorate will have to go on and decide that. The voters will have to decide that. So now, how will Basvaraj Bommai play it? Will he play it to the galleries? Will there be a dent on the state's exchequer, or will he play it smartly? That is something which has to be seen on the course of time. And remember, this is also election year in Karnataka, so all thing hinges on the presentations which Bommai is doing. But how and when will it be implemented by the BJP? That is something which only time will have to go on and answer here, Nupur.
All right, Prajwal, do stay with us. Let's also go across to Mr. S. Prakash, who's joining us on the broadcast. Mr. Prakash, good morning. Mr. Prakash, now we are seeing this budget that has come out. It does lay emphasis on the construction of the Ram Mandir, as well as we are told that about 1,000 crores has been set aside for the development of temples.
So there are various other pro-people initiatives in the budget. And among them is also developing and earmarking 1,000 crores for the development of several important temples in the state of Karnataka. Temple pilgrimage attract thousands of devotees, which will drive the economic growth of that area. Private jobs to thousands of youths. So it is a good decision by the Karnataka government to develop the temple. And most of the temples are contributing immensely for the revenue of the government also. The devotees, whatever is contributed is all the government temples. Money is going back to the government. So this investment will be useful in generating employment, in the development of the area.
All right, now Mr. S. Prakash, apart from that, give us a sense of what is primarily otherwise going to be the focus. We can see, of course, that about 300 crore rupees have been allocated to reconstruction of roads for Bengaluru. And earlier we were hearing that the focus is going to be on the farming sector as well.
No, 10,000 crore is earmarked for the development of various projects in Bangalore city. Among them, 1,000 crore for the white tapping itself. It will improve the road condition of the city. Even during the monsoon, the road will be in a fit condition. So many pro-initiatives of the Bangalore city, which needs bigger attention, has been given by the Chief Minister, which is a welcome decision.
Right, Mr. Prakash, appreciate you speaking to us on Republic TV. Thank you very much for joining us. So that is the details that we are now accessed of the budget that has been released by the government. You're watching Republic TV. On the other side, suspected smugglers are abducted, tortured and burnt alive in Haryana. Owaisi alleges cow vigilantism. And not a word on the Ramcharitmanas burning. The Samajwadi Party suspends 2 leaders who opposed SP Maurya.
कितने गाजी आए कितने गाजी गए। अब ये तो सोशल मीडिया में ये जो लफ्ज हैं, ये जो सेंटेंसेस हैं, ये गर्दिश कर रहे हैं। आप बताइए, आपके हिसाब से सबसे बेहतरीन चीज कौन सी थी व्हेन यू वर जीओसी 15 कोर? हुआ क्या था सर?
जो आपने बात की कितने गाजी आए कितने गाजी गए और कश्मीर की स्टोरी और कश्मीर की कहानी, ऐसे वो लम्हा था 5 अगस्त 2019 जब आर्टिकल 370 को एब्रोगेट किया गया हिंदुस्तान की सरकार के। उस समय मैं कोर कमांडर था और उस आर्टिकल 370 के एब्रोगेशन के बाद में जो बिल्कुल कश्मीर में शांति रही, एक भी कश्मीरी की जान नहीं गई। लोग कहते थे खून की नदियां बह जाएंगी, लाशें बिछ जाएंगी, ये कुछ भी नहीं होने दिया। एवरी स्क्वायर इंच ऑफ इंडियन टेरिटरी, हिंदुस्तान का तिरंगा लहराएगा, हिंदुस्तान की गवर्नमेंट की रिट चलेगी।
एक तो 370-35 से हटा, हमें तो पता ही नहीं लगा। उसके पहले का बताइए सर, आपको क्या पता था और क्या हुआ?
370 हटने वाला है। ये कश्मीर में सिर्फ 2.5 लोगों को मालूम था, 2.5 people, and I was complete one of them।
अच्छा सर,
जो भी इवेंचुअलिटीज हो सकती थी वो तमाम कॉन्टीजेंसीज को कैटर किया गया था, उनके बारे में प्लानिंग की गई थी, तैयारी की गई थी। आपको नहीं मालूम था, पाकिस्तान को नहीं मालूम था, किसी को नहीं मालूम था क्या होने वाला है। सीक्रेसी को मेंटेन रखते हुए कैसे इस पूरे चीज की तैयारी की गई और किसी को पता भी नहीं चला कि ये कदम गवर्नमेंट उठाने वाली है।
कितने गाजी आए, कितने गाजी गए। अब ये तो सोशल मीडिया में ये जो लफ्ज हैं, ये जो सेंटेंसेस हैं, ये गर्दिश कर रहे हैं। आप बताइए, आपके हिसाब से सबसे बेहतरीन चीज कौन सी थी व्हेन यू वर जीओसी 15 कोर? हुआ क्या था सर?
जो आपने बात की कितने गाजी आए, कितने गाजी गए और कश्मीर की स्टोरी और कश्मीर की कहानी, ऐसे वो लम्हा था 5 अगस्त 2019 जब आर्टिकल 370 को एब्रोगेट किया गया हिंदुस्तान की सरकार के। उस समय मैं कोर कमांडर था और उस आर्टिकल 370 के एब्रोगेशन के बाद में जो बिल्कुल कश्मीर में शांति रही, एक भी कश्मीरी की जान नहीं गई। लोग कहते थे खून की नदियां बह जाएंगी, लाशें बिछ जाएंगी, ये कुछ भी नहीं होने दिया। एवरी स्क्वायर इंच ऑफ इंडियन टेरिटरी, हिंदुस्तान का तिरंगा लहराएगा, हिंदुस्तान की गवर्नमेंट की रिट चलेगी।
एक तो 370-35 से हटा, हमें तो पता ही नहीं लगा। उसके पहले का बताइए सर, आपको क्या पता था और क्या हुआ?
370 हटने वाला है। ये कश्मीर में सिर्फ 2.5 लोगों को मालूम था, 2.5 people, and I was complete one of them।
अच्छा सर,
जो भी इवेंचुअलिटीज हो सकती थी वो तमाम कॉन्टीजेंसीज को कैटर किया गया था, उनके बारे में प्लानिंग की गई थी, तैयारी की गई थी। आपको नहीं मालूम था, पाकिस्तान को नहीं मालूम था, किसी को नहीं मालूम था क्या होने वाला है। सीक्रेसी को मेंटेन रखते हुए कैसे इस पूरे चीज की तैयारी की गई और किसी को पता भी नहीं चला कि ये कदम गवर्नमेंट उठाने वाली है।
Border Security Force has exposed another nefarious plan of Pakistan, that how Pakistan is smuggling narcotics into the Indian territory. After failed attempts of pushing narcotics via drone into the Indian territory, now the Pakistan is using helium and hydrogen balloons to smuggle the narcotics into the Indian territory. The recent incident came into fore in the Gurdaspur sector of the Amritsar rural, where 2.1 kilogram of heroin has been recovered by the BSF. And during investigation, it came into fore that it came into the Indian territory with the help of 4 helium or hydrogen balloons that were used to give it a height, and then the smugglers here were to pick up the consignment. However, due to the timely action by the Border Security Force, the plan of Pakistan was foiled and the heroin that was sent from across the border worth more than 10 crore rupees was seized by the Border Security Force. This shows that how desperate Pakistan is to push weapons and narcotics into the Indian territory at any cost. With Gaurav Sahani, Gursimran Singh for Republic Media Network.
You are watching Republic TV, and coming up next, George Soros jumps into the Adani issue, targets the Prime Minister. Is the Adani issue the biggest giveaway yet? And set back to the Uddhav camp, Supreme Court declines referring the matter to a larger bench.
The development of a nation is influenced by education.
Education that does not enable independent thinking and knowing is devoid of something fundamental.
Education helps implement effective social reforms.
Focus more on the fundamentals like the skills of decision making, mental models, or love towards reading.
Education's main purpose is to build the necessary skills which help us to succeed in life.
Catch the special episode of Read India celebration this weekend only on Republic TV.
एक तो 370-35 से हटा, हमें तो पता ही नहीं लगा। उसके पहले का बताइए सर, आपको क्या पता था और क्या हुआ?
370 हटने वाला है। ये कश्मीर में सिर्फ 2.5 लोगों को मालूम था, 2.5 people, and I was complete one of them।
अच्छा सर,
जो भी इवेंचुअलिटीज हो सकती थी वो तमाम कॉन्टीजेंसीज को कैटर किया गया था, उनके बारे में प्लानिंग की गई थी, तैयारी की गई थी। आपको नहीं मालूम था, पाकिस्तान को नहीं मालूम था, किसी को नहीं मालूम था क्या होने वाला है। सीक्रेसी को मेंटेन रखते हुए कैसे इस पूरे चीज की तैयारी की गई और किसी को पता भी नहीं चला कि ये कदम गवर्नमेंट उठाने वाली है।
कितने गाजी आए कितने गाजी गए। अब ये तो सोशल मीडिया में ये जो लफ्ज हैं, ये जो सेंटेंसेस हैं, ये गर्दिश कर रहे हैं। आप बताइए आपके हिसाब से सबसे बेहतरीन चीज कौन सी थी व्हेन यू वर जीओसी 15 कोर? हुआ क्या था सर?
जो आपने बात की कितने गाजी आए कितने गाजी गए और कश्मीर की स्टोरी और कश्मीर की कहानी, ऐसी वो लम्हा था 5 अगस्त 2019 जब आर्टिकल 370 को एब्रोगेट किया गया हिंदुस्तान की सरकार के। उस समय मैं कोर कमांडर था और उस आर्टिकल 370 के एब्रोगेशन के बाद में जो बिल्कुल कश्मीर में शांति रही, एक भी कश्मीरी की जान नहीं गई। लोग कहते थे खून की नदियां बह जाएंगी, लाशें बिछ जाएंगी, ये कुछ भी नहीं होने दिया। एवरी स्क्वायर इंच ऑफ इंडियन टेरिटरी हिंदुस्तान का तिरंगा लहराएगा, हिंदुस्तान की गवर्नमेंट की रिट चलेगी।
एक तो 370-35 से हटा, हमें तो पता ही नहीं लगा। उसके पहले का बताइए सर, आपको क्या पता था और क्या हुआ?
370 हटने वाला है, ये कश्मीर में सिर्फ 2.5 लोगों को मालूम था, 2.5 people, एंड आई वाज कंप्लीट वन ऑफ देम।
अच्छा सर,
जो भी इवेंचुअलिटीज हो सकती थी वो तमाम कॉन्टीजेंसीज को केटर किया गया था, उनके बारे में प्लानिंग की गई थी, तैयारी की गई थी। आपको नहीं मालूम था, पाकिस्तान को नहीं मालूम था, किसी को नहीं मालूम था क्या होने वाला है। सीक्रेसी को मेंटेन रखते हुए कैसे इस पूरे चीज की तैयारी की गई और किसी को पता भी नहीं चला कि ये कदम गवर्नमेंट उठाने वाली है।
कितने गाजी आए कितने गाजी गए। अब ये तो सोशल मीडिया में ये जो लफ्ज हैं, ये जो सेंटेंसेस हैं, ये गर्दिश कर रहे हैं। आप बताइए आपके हिसाब से सबसे बेहतरीन चीज कौन सी थी व्हेन यू वर जीओसी 15 कोर? हुआ क्या था सर?
जो आपने बात की कितने गाजी आए कितने गाजी गए और कश्मीर की स्टोरी और कश्मीर की कहानी, ऐसी वो लम्हा था 5 अगस्त 2019 जब आर्टिकल 370 को एब्रोगेट किया गया हिंदुस्तान की सरकार के। उस समय मैं कोर कमांडर था और उस आर्टिकल 370 के एब्रोगेशन के बाद में जो बिल्कुल कश्मीर में शांति रही, एक भी कश्मीरी की जान नहीं गई। लोग कहते थे खून की नदियां बह जाएंगी, लाशें बिछ जाएंगी, ये कुछ भी नहीं होने दिया। एवरी स्क्वायर इंच ऑफ इंडियन टेरिटरी हिंदुस्तान का तिरंगा लहराएगा, हिंदुस्तान की गवर्नमेंट की रिट चलेगी।
एक तो 370-35 से हट,
Mr. Stalin, what do you have to say on the recent death of Lance Nayak Prabhu? Mr. Stalin, what do you have to say on the recent death of Prabhu? DMK is involved in this. DMK is involved in that.
48 hours on, the Congress and the DMK don silence as chorus for justice for Lance Nayak Prabhu grows.
Adani Enterprises tried to raise funds in the stock market but failed. Adani is accused of stock manipulation and the stock collapsed like a house of cards.
George Soros jumps into the Adani issue, targets Prime Minister. Is the Adani issue the biggest giveaway yet? Setback to the Uddhav camp, Supreme Court declines referring matter to a larger bench. Suspected smugglers are abducted, tortured and burnt alive in Haryana. Owaisi alleges cow vigilantism. Not a word on Ramcharitmanas's burning. Samajwadi Party suspends 2 leaders who oppose SP Maurya. Days after the anti-India graffiti on the Hindu temple in Mississauga, Canada condemns Hinduphobia.